Hello everyone, welcome to Shriram's IAS. Myself Shivashankari Alesh Shiva Ignatius. So we are connected for ethics session. So we are going to do this part wise, okay? So here I'm going to teach you how we have to read the second ARC report, because whenever you are attending a session related to ethics, everywhere they used to say that second ARC's report is very important, especially the fourth report, which is talking about ethics in governance. Okay, so how you have to read the points which you have to take care of, how you have to make your own notes. That's how we are going to see the session. And important points I'll be highlighting, I'll be discussing those points here so that you can make notes. Okay, using with the help of this, right? Fine. So as you can see that the fourth report which we are going to discuss is related to ethics in governance, right? So now starting from the introduction, around 140 pages are there. So starting from the introduction, we are going to see each and every in this how you have to read this particular ARC and what are the points you have to keep in note. So come to this particular section like this. If you go to the report, you'll be finding all those details. Even you can read this particularly the first initial place which is written can also be read. You can also take some points from the preface also. So now come to the introduction part. So that can be done by yourself. Introduction part, what you have to read. What are those things which you have to keep in mind? That only we are going to discuss now. So you see this, report begins like this. So they are saying that, sorry. See, as you can see, this is how it begins. So here we are talking we are giving an introduction about like ethics and what are the issues which are related to ethical issues which are occurring in the governance. Okay, so that way we are going to see the introduction part. So they have began the report like this. In the introduction part, they have mentioned what is ethics. As we have already discussed in several sessions, ethics is a set of standards or a principles to be followed. That's why they are giving here. So they are first defining the ethics here. They're starting with that ethics is a set of standards and which helps or which guides the behavior and even the choices and actions. Okay, so this statement is important. So you have a note like this. So the commission is going to discuss about how ethics, what ethics is playing in the governance part. Okay, right? Then so come to the next paragraph. So each and every paragraph I'll be discussing certain points and then I'll note it also for you so that it will be easy for you to make notes, right? As you can see, the corruption is the problem, no? So we are discussing ethics in governance. Corruption is the main problem which is prevailing in the political side also, prevailing in the administration also, which is prevailing in the policy making also, which is prevailing in the policy implementation also. So that's why we are taking that particular issue, and this commission, that is second ARC, will be always discussing a lot of initiatives or lot of rules, regulations which has to be introduced, bodies which has to be formed, which has to be strengthened in order to check this corruption or corruption preventive measures. Okay, so that way only they will be giving their inputs or recommendations. So corruption is an important this is the the statement. It's an important manifestation of the failure of ethics. Please note this. So you have to note this particular statement is saying that corruption is nothing but it's a form of failure of ethics. Okay, so when I'm telling particular statement, I'm saying it's very important. You have to write like a formula. Keep the side near notes. Corruption is equal to failure of ethics. That's what they're coming to say. It's nothing but another phase of failure of ethics. So that is what corruption. Or you can also write this in a different form like corruption is equal to downward arrow of ethics. So this you have to keep in mind. Okay, this is what the commissioners also said. So if you look closer, saying that this corrupt, the word corruption, no, the corrupt is has been derived from a Latin word called corruptus. That means what is the meaning of that? That means to destroy something or completely to break. That's what corruption. The meaning of corruption is that only. So the word corrupt, which was derived from the Latin word, says itself that completely destroy something. So even ethics, you come to ethics. So here in the formula, we have connected corruption and ethics. So corruption means breaking something. Ethics is derived from a Greek word called ethikos, which is meaning a habit. Okay. Now, you can say that now corruption has become a habit of the public officials itself. Okay, so they are involving from grand corruption to the petty corruption. We can also call that as a petty corruption, and also say that as a retail corruption. As you can, they have mentioned here, see this grand corruption and also real corruption, right? Touching everyday life of the common man. So this way, they have begun the discussion of ethics and degradation of ethics. Degradation of ethics will lead to corruption. So, what is corruption? Corruption, where it is derived from the word corruptus, and it means breaking or to destroy. And ethics is something called as habit, and the habit which is destroying the fabric of the economic fabric, the social fabric, is something called as corruption, right? Now, come to the next particular paragraph in the introduction part. You can notice something like this: the anti-corruption intervention. So this is something introduction. So every detail will be here in the introduction. That's why I am asking you to make notes from the introduction part also. Then when you are going to a separate sections, you can also use this. It's like a preface for your report. The report which you are going to read is the preface of the report. So you have to be very careful while making notes from the introductory part. It can be used in revision, right? So then they are talking about the anti-corruption interventions. What are the anti-corruption interventions has been there in India? Okay, and how it is working. So generally, to say anti-corruption interventions has been not effective at all. So this is the statement, or this is the idea which is prevailing among the people. It's like we can say the public cynicism. We can call this a public cynicism. So it's something like spreading like a wildfire. So that all the corruption interventions are not up to that level. You know, it's not effective. It's not acting on the people's sake. And okay, so it's simply like a kind of it's a general discussion. No need to go in depth and notes from here. But I will just explain it for you that they are saying that the corruption, anti-corruption measures or intervention strategies which are there in India, which has been made, the bodies, the rules, regulations are simply for the namesake. Okay, not for correcting the corrupt or for booking the corrupt for corruption, but they're just prevailing like a show cause. That's what they're coming to say, right? And so how we are going to deal with corruption. So this paragraph is important. So there are two approaches, but more or less they are contradictory in nature, not a supplementary kind of approach they are giving. They are just giving us a contradicting approach only. So what is that? The first one is trying to emphasize on the ethics, because we already told, come to this formula, we have already said that corruption is equal to failure of ethics, or corruption is downward arrow of ethics, that is degradation of ethics. That's the meaning. So if I want to fight against corruption, so in this paragraph they're talking about to deal with the corruption, how we are going to deal with the corruption. Okay, so when you're dealing with the corruption, the first approach what you can do is that increasing values and ethics, emphasizing on values and ethics. That means giving importance to ethics and values in the system. Okay, so here then what happens when you're trying to impart value systems, when you're trying to bring ethical principles inside the people, the rise of corruption will be brought down. That is why we are talking about the measures like certain missions we have introduced recently, and we are talking about moving towards ethical governance. No, we are talking like that. Instead of sitting in the good governance, we are moving towards ethical governance, right? So we are seeing viewing in from this angle, right? So that ethical governance means what? We are just talking that corruption, not only the values like transparency, accountability has to be promoted. Along with that, corruption has to be contained. That's a major phase of ethical governance. So that's how we can say the first approach is trying to propagate or to promote value systems and ethical principles in the people in such a way that we will be trying to contain corruption. This one approach. Okay. So second things, come to the second things. The second approach is on the belief that most human beings are fundamentally decent and socially conscious. but there's always a small proportion of people which cannot reconcile individual goal with the good of society. So, okay, so even though most of that's how we form the society itself. Most of us are ready to compromise with our own rights in order to promote, in order to protect the right of the community, no, right of the society. But there are people who are not ready to do it. They only care about themselves. They care about only their own interest. They don't want to care about the public good. So such people has to be who is trying to always do some personal gain, get personal gain at the cost of the public good, and have to be punished. They have to punish in such a way that if they are involving in this deviant behavior, they should be strictly action should be taken against them. So what happens now? It will create an impact on the people mentality. So this is something which is talking about the punishment, okay, which has to be given to the people who are deviating from their character, especially a public servant. We are talking about governance. Governance means a public official or a public servant who's there, who's acting on behalf of the people, has to always think on behalf of the people only. They are not thinking on behalf of the people. Then what happens? That means goodness of the society. Behalf of people means what? Taking care, acting in good of the society, not in their own interest or not in their own good. So if that's the case, then what happens? Then what happens that uh, you know these people try to involve in that kind of activities or behaviors which gives goodness to themselves. So this should not be appreciated, and they should be action should be strictly taken against them. There are two things: one is positive things and other positive, and the other is negative. Can you understand? This is a positive approach and this is a negative approach. Why I am saying this is a positive approach? That in order to in order to reduce corruption, we have to imbibe value systems and ethical principles and ask the people of the particular system to follow value systems. Okay, so in that way, inculcating value systems and ethics in the system will reduce corruption. Second is negative approach. First is positive. Negative is that if you are seeing somebody involving in this corruption activity, punish them, strictly take actions. So then corruption will be contained. When other people see this, they will think, okay, if I am also doing the same, then I will also be punished, right? So this is how it has to happen. And the problem is main problem is that if it's not about like the one who escapes punishment, the people who are involving in corruption who is escaping punishment, it's not a concern. It's not important problem now. We are not taking into concern. The main problem is related to those people who are honest, who are serving the people, who are serving the public good and not getting rewarded. It's not about only reward they are receiving, but they are also thrashed for their activity. They were cornered for their activity. They were punished for their honesty. They were punished for their integrity principle in their offhold. When they are sticking to honest principles and ethical principles, they were cornered by the other officials and they have been punished. Okay, so they have been transferred, they are transferred or they are demoted, and this kind of framing takes place against them. So that has to be prevented. At least if you are not rewarding them, don't try to protect them from the wrongdoers. And other important focus which has to be taken is that we at least you are not punishing. I already told those wrongdoers who are escaping the punishment is not a matter, but you are rewarding them. Even they are doing wrong, you are rewarding them with titles, you are rewarding them with promotions, you are just putting them in the key positions, and then because you are that person is trying to give some benefit to you. Giving some benefit to the politicians, the political masters. So they take the good side of them, and they have been holding key positions or receiving a lot of monies, some rewards, appreciations, appraisals. So this may put the system in the bad light. So that's what they're coming to say, that whenever we see a person who's involving in corruption activities, then we have to punish them so that others do not repeat it. Okay, so that paragraph is also important. Then come to this, in the next thing they are describing, both this values and institutions matters much for a person. So they are saying that Values means what? Values is something like is abstract in nature. I have value. Every organization, we already have discussed in some places, like every organization has its own value, every institution has its own value. Okay, every body has its own values, every individual has its own value, every group of individuals also have their own value systems. And even every political organizations like country, state, everything is also having its own value systems. So values means what? Values are abstract conceptions. So we are saying imbibe value systems inside the public servant. In the previous paragraph also they have said that. So if I am saying that, if I am not wrong, I am saying that values, okay, which is in abstract concept, which is in abstract conception, cannot have any shape unless until it is followed or given shape by an institution which holds that systems. That institution can be of anything. It can be of human themselves, who can act as an institution for its own value system, or it can be of any body. It can be of a society, it can be of a family, it can be of a country, it can be of the world, anything. So there should be certain institution which upholds this value system. That's what it is discussed here. So they are saying that values need to be sustained by institutions to be durable and to serve as example to others. Without values, without institutional support, will soon be weakened and dissipated. So institutions provide the container which gives shape and content to the values. So institutions act like a container. This is the basis of all the statecraft and laws and institutions. Okay, so that's what it is written here. Then, mm, sorry, come to the next paragraph. And in the next, they have discussed that uh, corruption. They are continuing about corruption. So corruption, and especially the abusing of official position, both corruption involving in bribery, extortion, all this kind of activity, even abuse of office also a form of corruption only. So they say that it is aggravated by three factors. So it is increased. It is completely shaken by three factors. What are that? First one is that, the first, what is the reason for these kind of corruptions which is prevailing at every level in a public office? That's a main question behind the screen that we are asking. What is the reason why corruption is completely present in every level in an organization, and every institution is taking corruptions throughout the society? Corruption is pervaded completely throughout the society. What is the reason? First thing is that colonial legacy. We are saying that the colonial legacy. Okay, so the Indian civil service has followed the colonial legacy. So in there also we are talking that the power and authority, no, the hold by the public servant. Same ivory tower mentality is left to the Indian civil servants also. Still now they have that particular type of mental. That's why we are saying that we have to change this mentality first of all. The way the civil servant is looking into the society, looking towards the society, and the society looking towards the civil servant. The attitude held by a civil servant towards the public, and the public's attitude towards the civil servant. That's the main question, no, for we discussed. So we are questioning against these things, that what is the problem, what has to be changed, whether they have to exercise the power in the arbitrary manner. Since they hold this particular key position, they can use an arbitrary power. That's a question. So but the public official who has already come from this kind of mentality, the ivory tower mentality, and the clear cut structured bureaucracy we have in India, is completely giving that power and authority to the people, and they are not ready to ease this power, that give this power to anybody. So they are not trying to follow any ethical conduct. They think we are all powerful, we have every authority, we have everything in our hand, we are worshipped like god, we have power in our hand. So we, whatever we do, it doesn't matter, we can do anything. So this kind of mentality is there among the public officials, and that's why we can say that corruption is still prevalent in every angle, in every form inside the public office. Second thing is that the asymmetry of power in the society, asymmetry of power which is given to the granted to the society. The reason, what is that asymmetry of power? As you can see, one group which holds the power is a very small group. The minor group is controlling the majority group. The majority, oh, and if you see in the majority group also, most part of that group, most of the people are in unorganized sector. They are not an organized sector. They are in unorganized sector. Okay, so they're daily wagers. They're daily earners or poor farmers who doesn't have much knowledge. They're illiterate. So what happened when they are trying to approach the people, now the public servants who already come under the organized workers, right? So they don't have that kind of mentality or that kind of tolerance towards these uneducated people or the people from the informal sectors. So because of the asymmetry of power distribution in the society, so that makes these people to command over that majority group who belong to the unorganized sector. This is another reason. So they think that we are all powerful, we are all supreme. So we belong to the dominant, group, that where the educated people or organized sector people are there, and it's not necessary to explain anything to this illiterate. They doesn't know also. If I explain, they don't even know what I am telling to them. So that kind of mentality is there among the administrators. So that's the reason that they're not able to gain the trust of people. When they go to the work, they think that if I'm going to explain, whether they will understand what I'm explaining to them, don't understand. So why I should waste my time? Why I have to unnecessarily explain to them? I do my work as I wish. This kind of mentality is existing, and that's how they also get involved in the corruption. So who is going to question me? They doesn't know what is happening here. They don't know what is done in this office, what work I'm doing here, and these types of minor and technical details they are not able to hold, and how they will be able to question me. That's the second reason which is aggravating the situation. Third is a conscious choice which is made. So as we can say that the Indian state itself, um, starting from the after independence, I can say they have to choose a policy in such a way that the citizen who is going to take the service from the state is providing service to the citizen. For that purpose only we have created the state, and we have created in the form of welfare state, welfare providing state, that the welfare has to be provided by the state to the people. Not all kind of us can be provided, but at least we are starting with few. Then we will be including everything. So now the government is responsible for the welfare activities to the people. So if the government is responsible, it is treating the people as if like a beggar. This kind of mentality is there. So they think that the people are like a beggar, so we have to treat them like that only. And the government servants who are acting on behalf of the government, or who are acting as the face of the government. What is government? Government means nothing like a board or an institution. It's the people, they themselves. So what they do, what they think, okay, fine. I am here. I am a government. I am a important person from the government office, and these people who are coming to avail the benefit from the government, it's just like a beggar who is begging for a service. So let him wait. Is there? Why so urgent? I have some work. I'll complete my work. Let him wait. Sit there outside. Let him come thrice. Let him come 4 times. Let him visit a few times to the office. Then I'll try to rectify his problem. So this kind of mentality is growing in the people. Not only that, this is kind of abuse. Abusing the position. This kind of abuse they are committing towards the people. Starting from that to corrupting the money which belongs to the people is done by this authorities, the public authorities. Okay. So then that's it. So here you have to write that only. This third is a conscious choice. So you have to write these 3 points. Note 3 points. The first one is colonial legacy. Second is asymmetry of power in the society. Third is a conscious choice. So you can make a diagram also, or like a triangle you can put. You can write in the middle. Corruption has been aggravated due to number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, you can take and write colonial legacy. Second, asymmetry of power. Third is conscious choice. Then come to the next paragraph. As you can see, the experience. what they have written here. Yes. So, what are the reasons for this corruption? The other reasons we said, one is degrading ethical value. In the previous paragraph, they have discussed about it. Then, second, we are talking about the aggravation of corruption happening because of these three things inside the power play. Third thing which bringing to notice is monopoly and discretion. Okay, the monopoly and discretion increases the propensity to corruption, while competition and transparency reduces corruption. So that means discretion of powers, okay, hold by a person will increase corruption because he is monopolist. He controls the authority, complete authority. He has the complete power in his hand. Nobody can question him. So if that's the case, then who will go and check about the activities he is committing? So he thinks that, okay, I am here, I am all, and I can do whatever I wish. Nobody is going to question me. So that's why we are saying discretion of power will completely result in the corruption. On the other hand, if you want to promote transparency, when you make it open. That's why we are talking about good governance, and the main principle of good governance is transparency. When you are trying to be transparent in your dealings, and when you try to promote competitions, that is previously only government sectors will involve in all of activities. But now, apart from government sectors, we are also bringing in private, civil society organizations, even people themselves in delivering of public services to the people. So if that's the case, there increases of competition. So we say the competition and transparency will reduce corruption. So you can say a formula like this: reduction of corruption can happen. Not only the previous formula, no, you can bring everything. So the previous point we have talked about increasing the ethics, that is value systems, imbibing value systems, plus increasing transparency, increasing competition. Okay, this way you can write a formula. So this is what it is given here, right? As competition came in and choice expanded, corruption plummeted, so it has got reduced. So when choices started increasing, people are able to get this different varieties of same product. You know, one product, if you take for example telephones, steel, cement, sugar, everything you take, many tasks. What happened? Supplies and choices, reducing, even eliminating corruption completely. Previously, if only one product in the particular sector, then there are a lot of corruption involved in it. But now we have different choices, so choices eliminates corruption. Similarly, wherever technologies and transparency have been introduced, that's why transparency can be brought with the help of technologies. Corruption has been significantly contained. That's what computerization and access to information have made services from railway reservation to issuing of driving license increasingly free from corruption. So I think this we will end this session. So we'll meet in another session. We'll continue this. Whenever we are trying to discuss about ethics, we will have a session for second ARC and we'll discuss how to read this second ARC, right? Thank you all. We'll meet again.